So now that we're jumping into this actual top 5 jungle guide video, we're going to go ahead and break it down as quickly and as simply as possible. It is going to be pretty detailed because you guys always complain that I don't provide some little bit of information. So I'm going to try to make sure that's in there. So we're going to start at number 5 and work our way up to the number 1 jungler right now. Obviously, you can kind of tweak. Number 5 is it's always a weird placement for me because there's other gods that might still be played there. There's a lot of gods that are just neutral and almost always in the middle of the pack. So those could take that spot if you wanted. But for me personally, right now, Ravana is number 5 on our list. Ravana is actually an assassin now. People still don't know that. It's crazy. Blows my fucking mind. Because it's been a little bit. But the build is very simple. Warrior Tabby, easy peasy. I prefer to go Jotuns. You don't have to go Jotuns first, but I prefer to have a Jotuns. Having the CDR, because I usually don't go beads, is really nice for the 2. So I'll break down the abilities in a second, but essentially having Jotuns makes it so your 2 is up more, which keeps you safer. It also makes it so you're able to get a second rotation of abilities in. You're able to 1-3, get that 1 up again really fast. A lot of fights, I'll get off my abilities 2-3 times just because you're able to move around and immune so much. Third up on our list is going to be Crusher. Just high damage. You do auto attack a lot considering you have a slow and you have the root. You're able to get in a lot of auto attacks. So the auto attack or the attack speed that you get from Crusher is very, very useful as well as the power and the penetration. You guys know this. Third up on our list is going to be Void Shield. You get a little bit of that tankiness that you want. You're grabbing protections, health, and power. And then you also get penetration on the aura, which is good for your whole team. So because you're diving, the Void Shield's obviously going to be useful. It makes you a little bit tankier, not super tanky, but a little bit tankier, gives you a little more health, and still provides the power. Your scaling isn't crazy ridiculous and that important, so the lack of power kind of doesn't matter. I'm not gonna say it doesn't matter at all, but it's not a big deal. Void Shield is a very, very good item. It is sick. 5th up on the list of items is gonna be Magi's Blessing. Magi's Cloak. I don't know why I said Magi's Blessing. Magi's Cloak, very solid item. Goes along with your 2 because you're able to eat an ability, not get CC'd, and then use your 2 later on in a fight. Very, very, very useful. It allows the other team it allows you to not have to worry about the engage of the other team. The engage is not going to be a big deal for you. You're not going to get locked down. As well as adding on to your health and making you a little bit tankier. Obviously. Good. Solid shit. Last up is another penetration item. As usual, Titan's Bane. Just so you're able to kill frontline if you have to. You pound on the squishies that much harder. And you're pretty much able to take almost every single 1v1. The really, really crazy thing about this build is that you're able to rotate your abilities. So you're able to hit them, auto attack a couple times. Your abilities are coming back up, as well as still have that ult for a disengage or an engage or whatever you want to use it for. Now for the abilities. You're going to max your 1 first at your highest damage. I go 1-3. So you have the CC, the control if you happen to get no engagement at level 2, level 3. Really, really important. You pick up your 2 third. Your overhead kick third. So you have that safety. It also adds to your clear if you really have to use it. But it's mainly to keep you safe and allow you to chase and avoid that CC in the early game. Like I said, you're going to max your 1, your ultimate whenever you get the chance. Max your 1, max your 1. Here's where people get confused. Now, if you were just going for raw damage, usually you're going to level the 3. It's a little bit more damage, same scaling, longer cooldown, but it's also your lockdown. You're almost always using it for damage. Your 2, you're not always using for damage. But considering I very, very, very rarely start beads on Ravana, I almost always start Blink because you want that heavy aggression. So I'm going to max the 2. The 2 is a CC immunity. It is key to your kit. So you will max the 2 outside of your 1 and your ult whenever you can. So essentially you're leveling it before your 3. It's really just straightforward getting the CDR down so your immunity's up more. And then when you are doing damage, it's awesome. But it's just so that that CDR is important. Getting it down from 18 to 14 seconds is freaking huge. Very, very important. Very, very, very important for you. Then you're going to max this last, do the ult, however you want, whatever. So there's the ability build. Really straightforward. If you do for some reason pick up beads, I would max the 3 over the 2. So just swap the 3 and the 2's positions if you start with beads. Easy, right? For matchups wise, for positive matchups, you're mainly looking at the squishies that you can kill. That is your whole goal. There are going to be a lot of gods that are annoying. There's going to be a lot of assassins that are annoying. We'll get into that. But for your like pro matchups, the things you want to play into is the squishies. So gods like Thoth, as soon as they dash, you can pretty much blink on them, engage, make them dash, and then you can ult. So Ravana does very, very well on Thoth because Thoth can't get away from you, and you can immune almost all the damage. You can immune the stuns, everything. So those gods that have a one singular movement, you usually do very well against. So like Raijin, you're able to do very well against. Scylla, you're usually able to do well against because you can immune the root and she can't get away from you. And then very immobile gods, you also just kind of body. Gods like Apwash, Hera, you can even do well against. Ra, like there's a lot of the immobile gods you just are able to punish. It's about how you use your two, mainly sticking on people and not wasting your ult using that blink aggressively. For bad matchups, I wouldn't necessarily say Ravana has bad matchups, but Ravana's clear is very, very slow early. And technically your pressure is low if the other god is a fighting god. So gods like Naja, Ratatoskr, even Serket, they can do a lot of damage early and they can control you while they do it. You have some CC in your kit, but your CC is more of, I don't want you to run from me, I want to beat your ass. Not really, I'm going to lock you down. You don't have stuns, you don't have stuff like that. So those jungle matchups can be kind of annoying, and your early clear can kind of make it even harder to fight into those matchups. So like I said, gods like Serket, Naja, all those gods are going to be rough for you in the early game. You need to get to the mid game, play smart, use your two correctly, and just try to get to those squishy targets. Avoid the gods that really fuck you up. Outside of that, you actually have a decent matchup in a Pele. Once again, Pele's early clear is way better than yours. The pressure in lane is usually way better, but your actual 1v1 matchup, you can immune the knockup, which does a lot for you. And if you throw brawlers into that build instead of, say, the Crusher, you are able to actually punish Pele really, really hard. So it is something to look forward to for you. So I'm gonna reiterate for myself right now. We've gone over builds, we've gone over the abilities, we've gone over some of the matchups that are good and bad. We've gone over some of the pros and the cons to Ravana, and I'm gonna try to do that for every god. I'm just gonna have to hopefully not reiterate those things over and over again. So that was number 5 on our list. Number 4 on our list is going to be Naja. Naja is one of the most aggressive junglers. Extreme pressure coming out from right off the start. You have hard CC out of the stun. You got a knockup that takes people out of the, or sorry, you have an ultimate that knocks people up in the air, takes them up in the air with you. You can't be attacked in the air. They can't be attacked or helped in the air. You fucking destroy the squishies with it. It is an amazing ultimate, and it is something that you really have to recognize. So for the god builder, it is once again extremely straightforward. Warrior Tabby, I prefer Jotuns because your ultimate is pretty much your core ability in keeping you safe all the time, outside of your heal and your 2. But having that CDR allows you to just be in and out of fights more. It allows you to ult more, allows you to feel safer. It's going to go a lot farther for you, especially in the lower end games where you're just constantly fucking fighting. Next up, Crusher and crazy poke out of the 1. Your auto attacks hit very hard, so having the attack speed is sick. And then penetration, same shit, more power. Not that wild, right? Next up is Magi's Blessing. Sorry, Magi's Cloak. I don't know why I keep doing that. This keeps you a little bit safer. Like I said, the god really relies on the ultimate to feel safe because the ultimate can get you in or get you out. You don't have mobility outside of that. So having the Magi's Cloak to make it so you aren't locked down at any point that you aren't expecting is important. It is very, very, very important. Now, right here is where your build can swap up a little bit, right? So you have 3 options here. I personally, when I'm in like casual rank games, or if I'm in lower, if I were playing lower in games, I would prefer to have Deathbringer. Now, the first thing people are gonna ask is, do you have to have Deathbringer? No, you don't need crit at all in this build. You can go another defensive item because being tanky with a low mobile god like Naja actually goes far. So a Spirit Robe could go there. If you're going for the one shots, the high damage, the big auto attacks, Deathbringer is going to end up being better for you. People are gonna argue as the third item. Outside of, does this have to be crit? Could it be brawlers? Could it be this? Yes, it can be brawlers. Brawlers is great. It does not have to be crit. It can be tankier. It can be Spirit Robe. It can be Mantle. Mantle, probably what you want. Sick, awesome item. But if you're going to go crit, I prefer Deathbringer. The other option is Mantle. Mantle, once you crit, your abilities will then hit harder. So essentially, every time you ult, your ult is going to do 35% more damage after the first initial crit. Awesome. Great. But outside of that, you have to go in and get an auto attack and throw out your 1 to get that 35% more damage. So you need to stun in, get the crit, and then throw your 1, and that's going to be what's doing 35% more damage. Most of the time in team fights and stuff, that ring bounce doesn't bounce between 2 people and just fuck them up. It's really hard to get it outside of the tanks and maybe the one squishy that it bounced off right away. So you don't get a ton of damage out of the Malice outside of your ult. I prefer the Deathbringer because it's just straight auto attack damage. Your auto attacks are hitting harder. Your crits are doing more damage. So it is also going to buff your ult. It is also going to buff your auto attacks, and that is what I personally prefer. And then last up on the list is going to be your Titan's Bane. Easy peasy, right? Now for the abilities. Ring Toss is what you're going to max first. It's high damage, clear, everything important, and gives you movement speed. Level up the Sash next so you can be aggressive. You have the stun. I level up to 2 because I like to be able to auto attack a little bit faster and get those heals off. If you don't know, the 2 gives you attack speed, gives you your crit chance. It is not on your passive anymore. It's only on your 2. The duration increases as you level it up, and then your heal per passive stack stays at 0.75%. So mainly you're leveling this up for the duration and the attack speed. The attack speed goes from 15 to 55%. That is a lot of attack speed. So once again, maxing the 1, max the ult, max the 1, max the 1. I like to level the 2 outside of the 3. Leveling the 3 will give you, after full ranks, an extra 120 damage. So that means every level it's only going up 30. So you're valuing 30 extra damage. No cooldown. It doesn't give you anything different other than damage. So if you level this over the 2, you are saying 30 more damage is more valuable than 10% attack speed. And a longer duration on the attack speed buff and the crit buff. And the cooldown goes down on the 2. So overall, I like maxing the 2. I think it is by far the best. People like to skip abilities and stuff on Naja. I personally don't think you need to. I think, especially for you guys who are learning the gods, it's just a little too much to take in, and it is not as valuable as people make it out to be. So I max the ult 1, max the 2 whenever I can, max the ult whenever I can, max the ult whenever I can, and boom. There's your full ability build. It is extremely straightforward. It is not that crazy. Just simple math. Look at the abilities. You'll understand it. Now, Naja is sick. Naja is an amazing fucking god. Your pressure and aggression out of the mid lane and out of corner play, meaning you sit on corners, you wait for people to path into you, is insane. Running straight at people isn't always the best if your abilities aren't up, so avoid that shit. But overall, you're going to do well into gods like Serket. I like it into Ratatoskr. I don't really... There's people who like it into a lot of other matchups, but I personally, like, if I'm going to play into anything, it's going to be into Ratatoskr, it's going to be into Serket, it's going to be, I like it into Erlang Shen, actually. While Erlang Shen is insane, as long as you're hitting your abilities, you're able to turn fights on the Erlang Shen, just stay around your team. Don't take any wild 1v1s. That is the one thing with Naja that people fail at. They get too far ahead of themselves. They start diving a little too deep. Their team isn't with them, and then you will start to lose. Now, if you're fucking miles ahead, you're 20-0, sure, you can get away with that shit. But in real games, going too deep is your one detriment, the one thing you want to avoid. There are other matchups that can be rough. Honestly, gods like Dodgy and stuff, I kind of try to avoid. Hun Bats can be annoying. Susano can be annoying. At the same time, just be smart about your abilities, and you don't have any too crazy jungle matchups that are hard. Out of the mages, gods with CC immunities can be rough for you because you aren't able to just dive into them. So stuff like a Janus that can just ult away from you if you blink or you try to get in there. My mind just went blank. Gods like Raijin that have the immunity and can just sit there and stare at you and do damage. Baron, things like that are things to avoid. The longer duration CSC immunities that allow people to either return damage or get the fuck out without having to waste their beads. Because essentially on Naja, your downside is when beads are up and when Magi's is up. So you need somebody to burn the Magi's, and you need to be able to burn the beads yourself and then re-engage. If they have CC immune ults, they're not going to be burning their beads as much. Easy fucking cheesy, right? So that's number 4 on the list. Third up is Ratatoskr. You've seen Rat getting a lot of, I don't know, I guess praise from me because there's some crazy early start. There's videos up on YouTube. They're all over the place. Check it out because the Rat start is broken in the lower brackets. They just destroy the lower end players. It's a wild start. For God Builder, you're obviously going to go Acorn. I'm not going to get into that weird start. I'm just going to go over the basic build. You're going to go Acorn. I like to go Jotun's Wrath because it is insane. Just CDR, ulting more, spamming your abilities. I then once again like to go into a Crusher. The attack speed is sick. You have a lot of lockdown, so you're able to get more damage in. I go Magi's third. You have Pen Shred in your build, so it's not really that important to just keep stacking and stacking it right away. It is obviously very strong, but it is not the most important thing. Now, this build I talked about, you don't have to have Pen. I would then go Brawlers. I would then go Titan's Bane. I don't want to cover that because that's just a basic build. Everyone knows the Mace build, right? So that is your full, like, flat damage aggression. I want to carry and do damage the whole time build. Now, I have another build that I actually think works out a lot more overall. Now, the two items I'm going to go over can swap positions. So you've got Void Shield and you've got Onsile. If they have heavy magic damage and the jungler or the ADC isn't going to be that annoying for you, the physical damage gods aren't going to be that annoying for you, don't go Void Shield first. Go Onsile first. If you're going to have to deal with the magic damage, if you're going to be diving the mage a lot, the Onsile will do a lot of work. If they have a magic in the jungle, say they have a magic in the mid and the jungle, you want Onsile first. Say they have a magic mid, they have a jungler that might not be doing that much, they have a solo laner who's a guardian, Onsile. That's what you want to go. So if it's heavy magic and that's what you have to worry about, Onsile. If it's heavy physical and that's what you have to worry about, Void Shield. In that order. So you're going to Jotuns, Void Shield, Onsile, Magi's. It's going to be more of a hybrid build. It is very fucking strong and it works all the fucking time. Like it works all the time. It really does. So there is your full build right there. Remember, you're getting Acorn first before everything else. Ability wise, I start with a 3 mainly because I do the super hyper aggression early and I want the stun. Max the dart, or sorry, not max the dart. So level the 3, level the 1, so you're safe. Level the 2, so you have the Pen Shred and the more damage. I max the 2 first over everything. I then max the 3. I don't care about the ult. The reason that is because the ultimate's damage only goes up 60 every rank. You're using this ability once every minute and a half, if that. So that 60 damage every minute and a half is nowhere near as valuable as leveling up to 3 and getting a little bit more damage per acorn. It's a lot more damage per acorn. Leveling up to 2, getting the flat power, and leveling up to 1, getting more fucking power and the bigger slow. More damage. You're just trying to do more damage, maxing your damage, kind of like Thor. Very, very similar to Thor. Then you max your ult last. Easy. So with Rat, you've got a neutral god, meaning he's a pretty good god all the time. Strong, doesn't have too many matchups as long as that you have to worry about as long as you're playing with the team. You're able to dive, you're able to peel, you're able to 1v1. You just have a full kit that can do whatever you want. Things you like to really look out for are just your overall annoying gods. Pele is going to be very difficult for you. You're not going to want a 1v1 Pele. It's not going to go well for you. There's no way you should be winning that matchup at all. Getting blown up if you dive too deep. So if there's Nemesis in the game, you dive too deep, you want to avoid that. Avoid 1v1 in gods like Circuit. Avoid really just wasting your abilities. So dodgy ult, make sure you're not just wasting your ult to get out of dodgy ult over and over again. Just little things like that. I'd say one of your more neutral matchups is Hunbats. Hunbats just another good team fight god that overall, if you're diving too deep, you'll get punished. If you are not playing smart, he can punish you. If he's not playing smart, you can punish him. Right there in the neutral position. Rat's strengths right now are you have aggression, you have a slow, a knockup, and a stun. You have Pen Shred. The god is very, very, very strong. Just the kit is very, very, very strong. You're able to dive. I'd say the one thing I've already mentioned, just play around your team. Don't be going off on your own. Don't be going too deep. If you want to gank somewhere and fight, call it out, then go up in the air. You have lots of time for your team to get in position. Don't rush shit. Land your stuns. Land your 2s. If you're not landing your 2s, I'm sad. And win some games. So that is number 3 on the list. Number 2 on the list. And number 1 really shouldn't be too much of a surprise. Number 2 is Erlang Shen. He saw a slight nerf to the movement on his turtle. That was the nerf. And I think they might have touched his passive at some point. But it literally doesn't matter. My favorite build right now is going to be Power Boots into your Stone Cutting Sword. Just to make you a little bit faster. Gives you power. Gives you defense. And gives you penetration. Very, very solid item. Very, very strong. Next up, Void Shield. I like to be pretty tanky because you are low mobility. Gods that have lockdown will fuck you up. Gods that have anti-heal will fuck you up. Circuit, things like that will fuck you up. We'll go into those counter matchups in a second. So I like to have defense. I like to have health. Void Shield. I like to grab myself an Onsile. Once again, the order can swap. The order can swap around depending on If they have heavy magic or heavy physical, I then get a Magi, so I can't be locked down as easily, and I'm a little bit safer, and I do actually have the ability to move. I am then mobile because I can't be locked down. And then Titan's Bane to round it out just to secure your pen and your damage. Once again, another easy build. Nothing too crazy here. You don't have to have CDR. You don't have to be stacked CDR to be useful in Erlang Shen. That's why you're only getting 10% with this build. I start with the 1 for clear at level 1. You're going to be maxing the 3. You're going to have the 2 at level 1 for your lockdown. I personally, once again, like I said, max the 3. I like to have the 1 leveled up because if you are getting those auto attacks off, they're hitting hard as fuck. They're hitting very, very hard. Scaling up from 25 extra physical damage up to 85. It's crazy. Versus if you level the 2, it only goes from 85 to 265 total damage. You're going to have the little bit of attack speed off of your 3. Say a little bit, but it's actually a lot of attack speed off of your 3. So it is just a strong combination. Maxing the 3. I personally like to max the ult and the 1. Maxing the ult gives you that little bit more health. It's scaling up by 75 every rank. That 75 health goes a long way in a team fight. It also gives you damage mitigation, which people don't realize, so you're taking a little bit less damage. The scaling on that, the way it goes up, is not drastic. It is not why you're leveling the ult. It is mainly just to get more life. Keep yourself alive. Leveling the 1, leveling the 2, ult, 2, ult. Boom. Straightforward. Easy, fucking cheesy. Now into your matchups. Circuit, hard counter matchup. Nemesis does extremely well in Erlang Shen, in my opinion. I really, really like playing Nemesis in Erlang Shen. The Pele matchup is kind of neutral. You want to be not getting knocked up, and you want to be knocking up Pele. So Pele pops the 2, you knock up and get the fuck out of there. Straightforward, simple, easy. Those are your jungle matchups that I'd say you have to pay attention to the most. Obviously, Naja is going to do Naja. Fucking Hunbats is going to do Hunbats. Dodgy can also be an annoying matchup because you have to beads the ultimate from Dodgy, which is extremely frustrating. Get a Magi's Blessing, like I said, and it won't be that big of a deal. You just have to get to that point in the game. Assassin-wise, Erlang Shen into Mage-wise, things that can kind of just get away from you and fuck your ass up are frustrating. So, realistically, Scylla root with dash is going to be really, really hard for you to deal with most of the time. Obviously, if you're blinking on Scylla, you'll be able to get a lot of damage off, but she is able to turn around on you fairly easily. A good Thoth player who is dashing and stunning you is going to keep you away. A good Vulcan is going to peel and do a lot of return damage. Pwash with the ability to fuck up your heal, doing more damage and stunning your ass. I would then also say Agni because of, once again, the ability to move while also locking you down. Now, you do have good matchups. I feel like you do very well into Janice. I feel like you do well into Ra. I honestly don't mind playing into a Raijin, even though Raijin is very frustrating. You're just able to blink on somebody. You can literally blink on a Raijin, start autoing, wait for him to dash away. You turtle at him. Obviously, you're a little bit slower now. It's going to be harder to just turtle right to him. But you're able to turtle at him, cancel his damage, and just return a lot. Just look for those immobile gods aside from, like, Opwash, really, when you're looking at mage matchups. Hunter matchups are kind of the same. You don't have anything that's all too bad, except for Cupid can be annoying because of the lockdown. That's not enjoyable. It's also a little bit harder to kill a good Hachiman because he's just going to ult away from you. You're not going to be able to stick with him. Guardian-wise, nothing is all too frustrating. Geb shields can fuck up your ult a bit. Artio for the cancel on your 3. You're not able to use your dash. That's what's annoying to me. Terra can lock you down a little bit too, but Terra is not the end of the world. And that is our number 2 on the list. Number 1 on the list, you already know it. I think everyone already knows it. It's Pele. Pele got nerfed. The passive got hit a little bit. Pele is still the best jungler in the game by a fucking mile. Even without the passive, Pele is the best jungler in the game. And then with the passive, Pele is untouchable. So, build. Straightforward. For me, this is my favorite carry, do damage, fuck people up build. Period. I like to go into Crusher. You don't have to have CDR. CDR is nice, but you don't have to have it. Soul Eater also, oddly enough, has CDR, but it's the lifesteal that is key. It keeps you able to sustain in fights, fuck on people, and win the 1v1s even without your passive. Just that much easier. You've got Void Shield because you want to be a little bit tankier while also getting that pen shred that you are missing out by going the Soul Eater. You're then going to get a Magi, so you're never canceled. You're able to blink in and do the damage. It's the worst thing ever to blink in, try to get your 2 off and get CC'd. Try to get your 2 off, get CC'd. If you saw at Worlds, there was a Pele that blinked in. He got stunned. They were winning the fight. So he blinked into a winning fight. He would have got a 3-man knock-up into a 3-man 1, into a 3-man 1, into a 3-man ult. They had all their mobilities were down. They were fucked. They were just sitting ducks, right? but he blinked on them, didn't have Magi's. This was mid to late game. Got stunned, so his knockup got canceled. He then tried to knock up again. He got silenced by a Ganesh. He then tried to knock up again. I think it was a Ganesh. But he then tried to knock up again, and an Onsile fucking procced on him. So he literally could not cast this 2, and he got turned on and died. A triple kill for him probably would have won him the game. He died off of it, and his team did end up losing the game. Weird example, but it's so far more important than I think a lot of people realize. You then end the build with the Titan's Bane. Now, Pele, realistically, has no true counter matchups. You're able to fucking destroy pretty much everybody. People used to really like the Erlang Shen matchup into it because you could knock up the knockup and get out of range of it, or you also get the health. So even if you knock up his knockup, you have a little bit more health. You don't take as much damage. Plus he's in the air. Just got to time it right. Serket can actually do very well, no Pele, but ideally you land a knockup on Serket and she's fucked. So as long as your early game doesn't go too bad, you'll be just fine against Serket. And then all your other matchups really aren't that bad. Odin, out of the warriors, usually going to be a solo or support. Frustrating as fuck. It is very, very annoying to play into a good Odin. It can also be very, very annoying to play into a good Baron because Baron gets a movement speed, gets a sustain, has the ultimate to just fuck you up. You have to ult out of the ult if you want to get away. It is frustrating. Janus can be hard to stick to if the Janus uses the walls. And then my other god that I don't like to play against is Agni, and that's mainly because Agni can dash when you blink, and if you ult in, Agni can Aegis or can just use his stun and fuck you up and can return a lot of damage. It is a frustrating matchup. The rest of them, I really don't mind too much. Asilo roots you can ult through it. You have the mobility to catch up to everybody with your 3. I didn't go over Pele's ability build, which is my bad. I'll jump back before I forget. So I level the 1 first. You throw the 1 out 1 time on your speed buff. Your mid laner is going to be helping you. Throw your 1 out on the speed buff 1 time. Don't use both of them. Use it once. The speed buff will die. By the time you get to the blue buff, you'll get that 1 back up and you'll have 2 of them. You'll throw them both out at the blue and you'll clear that much faster on your own. That is how I like to play the beginning. I level the 3 just to get to mid lane and get around a little bit faster. The 2 if you think you're going to fight. Level the 2 so you have the ability to fight at level 3. Maxing the 1 is what I do. It is the highest damage. It is the most important for you. Maxing the 2 second to get the range on it is the next most important thing for you. The ultimate does do a lot more damage. You're getting 80 damage initial increase on each level, plus you're getting 40 damage on the cone damage, which is your auto attacks. You have 3 of them, so that's a lot of damage that's added up. So you're gonna level your ult when you can. 1, 2, 2, ult, 2, 3, 3, ult, 3, 3, ult. Boom. There's your abilities. There's your top 5 junglers. That was a lot of information. This is a little bit longer than the ones I usually do because I covered everything that I can think of. If I forgot something, I'm sorry. I will try to keep getting better. Remember, guys, check out Destiny 2, the new Forsaken expansion. Just thank you guys for supporting me. Like I can do things like this and videos like this because you guys support them, you watch them, you guys do a lot for me. So thank you for that. Remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I will see you all in the video later.
Oh, this you crazy mother.